Hi, I'm Macy.
And I'm Missy.
We're best friends
and business partners. And each week, we're going to bring you a quote that inspires us, and we're going to talk about it.
Join us as we break down our favorite impactful messages for leadership and share how you can apply them to lead with confidence and purpose.
Get ready for a fun and authentic journey into leadership, life, and everything in between.
Hey, bestie.
Hey, bestie.
How are you?
I am so good. How are you?
I am excited. It is our inaugural. It's our first ever episode of Impactful Messages. Let's Talk About It podcast. I'm thrilled.
I know. I'm really excited too. It's like it's been years that we've been talking about this, but at the same time, it seems like yesterday.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. It's like, well, first of all, let's just take a step back. Like, I don't want people to think that it took us a long time or years, like you just said, to decide to make a podcast, because that is not true, right?
That's absolutely true. It took literally one conversation.
And I would say, like, not even a conversation. It was a text message.
Yeah, that's true. One text message, we decided that we were ready, that we needed to launch the Impactful Messages podcast. Let's talk about it. And that we were going to do it in the new year. And here we are. So happy New Year, my friend.
I know. Yes. Happy New Year. I do think, though, we need to explain when we say it's been years, like, well, then what does that mean?
Yes. Well, for years, people have been telling us that we need to do a podcast. And quite frankly, Macy, we just didn't want to.
That's
right?
True.
It's not like there was a list of excuses or a mindset we needed to overcome. It just wasn't something that we felt passionate about or had the desire to do.
Yeah. And I think we knew that a podcast is a commitment, right? And we now, I would say, both of us are in a time and a place where we can commit to not just each other, because obviously when you're in a partnership, that's important, but also to our audience, which is how it led us to kicking off 2025 with our new podcast.
Yes. And we think it's going to be great. We hope our listeners and guests will love it as much as we do. Our goal is going to be to add value through talking about our favorite leadership quotes. And Macy, You know I love a good quote. So I couldn't be happier with the direction we chose.
Yeah, girl, I know that you're our resident quote girl, that's for sure. But before we dive into today's quote that we're going to talk about, right, since it's our first ever episode, I do think we need to share a little bit about ourselves. What do you think?
I agree. Do you want to go first or do you want me to?
I'll let you kick us off.
Okay. So I am Missy Washam. I am from Mississippi. So yes, I'm Missy from Mississippi. You can't make it up. I'm married to my husband, Chris, who is the department chair of the kinesiology department at Mississippi Christian University, and we are empty nesters. I am a boy mom. So I have two boys, Michael and Morgan. Morgan is married to my precious daughter-in-law, Catherine. And then Chris and I, in our little empty nest, have our sweet little dog, Nola. My former career was a school teacher. And I share that with the listeners, Macy, because you know I reference it a lot. There are a lot of lessons in that. And so I wanted to give some context around that. I've been a franchise owner, and now I'm in corporate leadership development, training, and keynote speaking with my bestie, Macy.
Yes. And I am Mayce DelValle. I live in Florida, but I am a Jersey girl at heart. I am married to my husband, Noel, who started and runs a nonprofit in our community for underserved kids. And we are, well, we'll just say we're not empty nesters.
No, you are not.
I am also a boy mom. We have two teenagers, Jake and Julian. So I'm not too shy to ask for prayers. So if you are the praying kind, please pray for us. We have two doggies, Carlos and Lola. I have spent many years in the corporate environment. I too was a franchise owner. And about 5 years ago, we launched our business, Mpactful Messages, and that's what Missy was referring to.
We've known each other for about a decade, Macy, wouldn't you say?
I think so, yeah.
But we are literally sisters from another mister. I mean, we grew up so differently, and yet we have so many similarities, many of which are going to come up in the conversations we share.
Oh, for sure. We have been blessed to be mentored by some of the best in leadership, including John Maxwell. And that really is where our heart and passion lies, developing leaders all over the world.
I would say we love all things leadership, and we specialize in blue-collar leadership development. Now, we know that leadership has no boundaries. It comes in all shapes and sizes and all industries. And so our hope is that this podcast will add value to you as a leader, and that it will serve as a conversation starter around whatever table that you are sitting at, whether it's your kitchen table, the lunchroom table, break room, or the boardroom.
Yeah, so true. All right. So today's quote that we're going to talk about is from one of our leadership heroes, someone that we refer to as the GOAT, our friend and mentor, John Maxwell. Here's the quote.
I'm ready.
Leaders take action when other people hesitate. Now, for us, I think that this quote really hits home because I think it perfectly sums up what makes leadership different from, like, let's say, management. So, Missy, let's talk about it.
Oh, I'm excited to talk about this one. I love it because it really is how we live out our everyday life, don't you think?
I think so. I do.
And this podcast is a perfect example. We said we wanted to launch this in the new year, and we got to work. We didn't hem-haw around and think of all the things that we needed to do or that we were going to be a challenge to do. We just got going.
Honestly, Missy, if we thought of all that we would have to do, we wouldn't be here today. But
true.
That's a story for another day, right? So not that long ago, this is really cool. I came across something on social media that really struck me and stuck with me. And it said that people, just in general, fall into two different categories. There's the ready people,
okay,
and the getting ready people.
Mm.
And I thought, my gosh, like, I really think that that's true. There's the ready people, right? Those are the ones who are always positioning themselves for success. They're proactive, they're prepared, they're out there, they're looking for opportunities. Those are the ready people.
Yeah. And I would say they don't just sit around waiting for things to happen.
No.
Those are the folks who are out there. They're sharpening their skills. They're learning. They're staying open to whatever might come their way. And so when the moment strikes, they're ready to jump in with both feet.
Yes, because they know that success doesn't show up just because they're sitting there waiting for it, right? They understand that you have to be ready to grab it when it arrives. They don't wait for perfect circumstances. Basically, they see a window and they take the leap.
Yeah, and I would say then that the getting ready people, well, they're stuck on the sidelines then, right?
Exactly. Yes.
They've got the right intentions, but they hesitate. They're waiting for that perfect time or those ideal conditions before they take action. And you know the story of the fortune cookie that I got in my fortune back in 1992. The fortune I got was the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah.
And so if it's in a fortune cookie,
it must be true, right? If it's in a fortune, it's got to be true.
Right. I'm just kidding. I don't believe in fortunes, but I will say that it is a great saying to help you. It helped me understand that intentions aren't enough.
Right. That's true. I mean, you have to take action, right? Everybody has intentions. So you can't sit around and wait, because while the getting ready people are sitting around, they're waiting. What happens is opportunities are passing them by. I mean, how many times in our lives since we've known each other have we heard people say, oh, I'll just do it, whatever it is, right? I'll just do it when things settle down, or when I'm more prepared.
When I have the money.
Right. I mean, in a perfect world that moves as fast as ours, waiting for that perfect moment is a luxury that none of us, quite frankly, can afford.
Yeah, I would agree. I think being in that constant getting ready state, it becomes a barrier for growth,
Yeah.
right? The ready people are out there learning, growing, and evolving. They're taking steps toward, even if they're baby steps, because they know it doesn't have to be perfect. They just need to act, they just need to move forward.
Yeah, and I really think that's where the magic happens. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is not magic, right? There's no secret sauce except just take the action. But when you're willing to embrace imperfect action, that's where it becomes magical. Because we know, right, that success rarely comes wrapped in a neat little package. I mean, who wouldn't love for success to come in that Tiffany blue box with that white bow on top, right? But it does come to those who are ready to act right in that moment.
Yes. And the getting ready people, they often miss their chance because they're too ready trying to line everything up perfectly. And then by the time they do, the opportunity is come and gone so
And
often.
and Missy, they probably don't even realize that the opportunity has come and gone, right? Because they're sitting around getting ready. They're not, it's not even in awareness. And I think that being ready, right? The lesson in that is that it's not just a mindset, it's how you show up. It
Mm-hmm.
means you're alert, you're prepared, you're willing to take challenges as they come up, because that is where growth happens.
And sometimes the best opportunities come from just saying, let's go for it, right? Instead of
Sure.
waiting for all those lights to turn green.
I mean, amen to that, sister, because we know we've experienced it ourselves in our business that success does not wait for perfection. It really does just come for those who are ready to take action in that moment when that moment strikes.
Yes. And I know we'll have stories to tell sometimes about that imperfection that we've gone through. But I'll say it again, it's how we live our lives.
Yeah.
Most of the things, Macy, that we've done that have just really given us chances and taken us to things greater than we could have ever imagined are because we were sitting on go
Yeah.
and we weren't overthinking it and trying to check off boxes.
And Missy, I'm going to be honest for a minute. That has not always been the case for me.
True.
Right.
And I'm glad you're calling yourself out because
Yeah.
I was possibly going to.
Yeah. There was a time, I was the type of person who had to analyze every little detail. I had to put it on a spreadsheet. I had to see if it makes sense. I had to make sure that every variable was accounted for before I took any action. And I became stuck in this overthinking, like this cycle of overthinking, that I would try to figure out every possible outcome and I wouldn't even take a step forward.
Yeah. And she is speaking truth. This was who she was. And Macy, I think when you're in that, right, when you are trying to make everything perfect, you probably felt like you were being productive.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
But really, I would say it's procrastination in disguise.
And like, to me, procrastination is a dirty word. Like, I do not see myself as a procrastinator. I would never use that as a characteristic to describe myself. I honestly thought I was being thorough and prepared. But like you just said, I was delaying a moment of action. I was waiting for this imaginary myth of a perfect situation to arrive. But here's the thing. I had to make a decision, right? I mean, I had to decide, do I want to live in that getting ready, or do I really want to be one of those ready people?
Macy, what happens, I think, is that procrastination, it's lying to you, right? It's a liar. It's a thief. Because when you procrastinate, it can steal your chances. It can steal your potential, your progress. Because while you wait, life is still happening.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Opportunities are still happening. And those opportunities are going to the people already in motion, not the ones standing on the sidelines getting everything ready and perfect.
I think that is such an important part or point, that opportunities go to the ones who are already moving, not the ones who are stuck in their heads. Such a good point.
Well, good. I'm glad. And what I will also say is that is what leadership's about too, right? It's recognizing those moments, and you're recognizing them when everyone else is waiting around uncertain of what to do next. It's in those moments that leaders appear and that leaders step up.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be some huge dramatic move, right?
No.
Like sometimes it is just that small intentional action that has the biggest impact.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, I think also leadership means being able to see what needs to get done before it becomes obvious to other people.
Yes. And the thing is that a leader's courage can actually give others the confidence to follow.
Oh, absolutely.
It's the action that builds momentum and creates movement toward a goal.
Right. So leaders make the choice to act, right? It's a choice.
Right.
Not because they have the answers, right? They are moving because they know that progress happens when someone takes a move or makes a move.
That's right. And when that happens, real leadership is born. I loved the word you said, Macy, willing, because it's in the willingness to move forward, even when everyone else is still waiting, right? Sometimes I would say all the time, it's not about knowing what's ahead. It's just about being able to take that step.
Yeah, because I think also we could talk about willing and able, right? Some people are able to take steps and they're not willing to. And that's a whole nother kind of thing that we could analyze. We'll save that one for another day.
Yes.
Because this quote, what we're talking about, it's not about having all the answers. What it really is, it's about getting out of pause, right? If you're living your life on a pause mode, it's about getting out of pause and heading into go mode.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's about, as a leader, because obviously this is a leadership podcast, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, meaning acting when others are still trying to figure stuff out.
When you think about that pause, hesitation can come from a lot of places, can't it? Like fear of making the wrong choices, or what we talked about earlier, perfectionism. The irony is that inaction, not moving forward, is often more damaging than just making a simple mistake.
Yes. And leaders understand that action leads to momentum and momentum leads to opportunities. And I think you and I see this all the time, right? With the companies that we work with.
Yes.
We pour into them. We share this concept with them. They take a step. They see some momentum and voila, they think we're geniuses.
Yes. And honestly, when you think about the pause again, hesitation isn't just an individual thing, right? You were talking about us working with companies and organizations. It can be deeply ingrained in the culture of an organization as well. I mean,
we've seen it.
Yes, we've both worked in environments where the culture was more of that wait and see than take the initiative.
Sure.
And when that mindset takes over, it really stifles growth and innovation.
Right. Because I think what happens is when the culture encourages people to play it safe, right? That's the norm. That's the culture. No one steps up. I mean, we've worked with companies that was the culture. Don't rock the boat, right? Just follow the process. That was an invisible rule or a sign above the door. Don't rock the boat. Just follow the process.
And I'm wanting to break out in song right now, but I'll hold it for another podcast.
Rock the boat, don't rock the boat, baby. Is
rock
that what
the
you're
boat,
thinking?
baby. Exactly, yes. People in these situations learn that playing it safe, though, Macy, is rewarded.
I know. That's the unfortunate part.
So they don't want to take risks.
No.
Because that's where they're afraid they're going to find criticism or maybe even punishment in some cases. So since it's safe, they hesitate. And then what happens?
Nothing, right? Nothing happens. Right. There's no movement. Everyone gets stale. Momentum stalls. Morale goes down. Productivity suffers. Like literally nothing happens.
And there's no creativity. There's no innovation. And honestly, this is where a lot of companies wind up really stalling or even closing up shop, so to say, because they're just too stuck in their ways.
And Missy, I would say, tell me if you agree. I mean, I'm sure you will, but I'll ask anyway. Like, don't you think it starts with leadership?
Oh, Yes,
Right.
emphatically. Leaders set the tone for the entire organization. It's about leaders, Macy, modeling the behavior they
Yeah.
want to see. When leaders take bold steps, big or small, they send a message that it's okay to take risk here. It's okay to
Yeah.
act. And that is when action and initiative are celebrated.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, leaders have to show that waiting for the perfect moment isn't how things get done inside an organization. Like, progress happens when people move, when they try, when they take risks, even when it's not perfect. Like, when leaders take action without hesitation, they are the ones that are creating the culture where people feel like they are encouraged to act with or without fear, right? Because sometimes the fear is still there. But that's the key, is that people act without hesitation. It's the key for a thriving team. It's a key for a thriving organization.
And here's the kicker: action doesn't mean perfection, and I think that's what holds a lot of people back.
Yeah.
They won't take that first step unless they know it's going to be flawless.
And I think that is so true and so good. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back, maybe for myself, right? Action doesn't mean perfection. You and I are a living testimony to that. There are so many things in the 10 years of friendship and the 5 years of business. There are so many things that we have taken action on that were far from perfect, but you know what we did.
We made a memory, didn't we?
We sure did. Lots and lots of memories. So I do think that it is important to dig just a little bit deeper into some other reasons why people hesitate. So we talked about perfectionism, right? That's a reason why people hold back. They feel like they have to have everything perfect, but it goes beyond that, right? Perfectionism and making mistakes are not the only reason. They're big, but they're not the only reason that people hesitate.
Right. I mean, fear of failure is huge.
Yeah.
People hesitate because they're worried that if they take a step and it doesn't work out, they're going to be seen as incompetent or not up to the task. And let's face it, some company cultures don't tolerate mistakes very well.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but here's the thing. Failure and making mistakes, that's all part of the learning process, right? Like if you are not failing every once in a while, we're telling you right now, you are not stretching yourself enough. I mean, if as long as you're learning from your mistakes and from your failures and you're not doing the same things over and over again, sometimes you've just got to embrace it and move forward.
Agreed. Sometimes people hesitate because they worry about how they'll be perceived by their peers or bosses, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they're afraid of being seen as too assertive or ambitious, or they're stepping out of line. And this is even worse in environments where taking the initiative isn't the norm.
Yes.
When people feel like every move they make is being scrutinized. And so they just pull back.
Absolutely. And listen, everyone has moments of doubt or hesitation, but leaders, they help people, including themselves sometimes, move through that doubt because leadership is not about being fearless. It's about acknowledging the fear and moving forward anyway.
Yes. I'm just sitting here thinking, Macy, we're often asked what has been the secret to our success.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind it's because we start things before we're ready.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think back to when we started our business. If we had waited for that perfect time and for everything to fall into place beautifully, we'd still be waiting. But taking action got us moving, and that movement created the opportunities that we needed.
I love that so much. That movement creates opportunities because that is what it comes down to. The key is make a move, even if the destination where you're going is a little bit blurry.
Exactly, because what happens is once you start, every step forward brings new information, new opportunities, and new clarity. Since you said blurry, I'll throw that in, right? It does bring clarity that of things that you couldn't have seen from the starting line. Clarity is found only when you move forward.
So good. And I think that really is what makes leadership both challenging and rewarding, right? Like you're constantly balancing that tension between action and uncertainty. It's like you're walking this fine line of that blurriness and that clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads us perfectly into our key takeaway for today's episodes. If you only take away one thing from today's episode, let it be this. This is your cue to act. Whether it's big or small, just take the first step and watch how things shift. Hesitate no more.
And that's right, bestie, because remember, our quote is that leaders take action when other people hesitate, even if it's one step at a time.
So good. Okay, so what we want to challenge you, our listeners, is to ask yourself this question. Where in my life am I hesitating?
And also, where can I take action, even if it's just a small step? Because sometimes breaking that initial hesitation is really all you need to build momentum.
Yeah, and I'd say to really lock it in, write it down, right? Pick one thing, not a million things. Pick one thing, whether it's a work project you've been putting off or a personal goal or even a difficult conversation you have to have. Write down one thing that you're going to commit to and take that first step this week.
And do not worry about having all the details figured out. Just focus on starting. And remember, leaders aren't the ones who have all the answers. They're the ones that set the bar for others to follow.
Yes. So if you've been waiting for the perfect moment, this is your sign. That moment is right now. Stop waiting for everything to line up. The reality is that perfect moments rarely come. What matters is taking that imperfect action and trusting that you'll figure it out along the way.
Remember, as leaders, your willingness to act is what sends that powerful message that it's better to be in motion, learning as you go, than to stay stuck in the safety of hesitation. And we know, Macy, that being stuck stinks.
Yes. And for our listeners today, we've got a special gift. We have designed a worksheet designed as an equation that we call the transformation equation that will guarantee success. And yes, I did say guarantee, but you're laughing. Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because we do guarantee it. And I always just get stuck on the fact that we came up with an equation.
I know. We're so bad at math. I mean, even what they refer to as girl math, we're not good at.
Alexa math.
Yes, Siri math. We're just bad. All of the math all around. But we know that this equation works.
Yes. So check it out, because our transformation equation, with it, you're going to be able to choose the intention you want, assign an action to it, and results will follow. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a link in our show notes for you to grab the document, or you can email us at connect@impactfulmessages.com.
So we also would love to hear from you. Let us know what action you're going to take this week.
Yes.
And how you're using the transformation and how it helped you to get the results that you're looking for. You can share it with us on social or in the comments or email it to us.
Yeah. And do you have a favorite leadership quote? Let us know that too, and we may spotlight it on a future episode so we can talk about it.
We'll be back next week with another quote and more leadership insights.
And you know what we're going to do?
We're going to talk about it.
That's right. Bye, bestie.
Bye, bestie. We want to thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this podcast, please show us some love. You can like and share from all of the major podcast apps. Also, you can follow us on social media. Impactful with an M _ messages on Instagram and Impactful Messages on LinkedIn.